Okay, here's the first thing I bought, this Windsor Design Woodlake Turning Toolkit, which I mistakenly believed that you could use for hand carving. And I still have no lace, so they just kind of set in the box. Then I bought this 5-piece wood chisel set, which were also both sets were Harbor Freights. These things, they're very small. The biggest one is maybe 1/4 of an inch wide, and it's just not really accurate. They're very hard to sharpen. And I also bought these chisels. These were my first set of chisels that I could actually use on something. They're 4-piece chisels, starting with the inch to 3/4 to 3/8, and the 1/4 inch. Now, at first, I wasn't able to use these much because I had this sharpening system that wasn't really good for nothing. These were just old stones that I had. See this one here? I mean, it's got big grooves in it. It's actually pretty fine grit, about 500 grit. I think, but it's mostly for sharpening pocket knives. And then I also had this one, which had, I'd say about 300 grit on one side and 400 on the other side. That one I also got from my father when he was still alive. Then I bought this one, which was a 250 grit on one side, and I would say it was 250. It didn't say on the packaging. This was also a Harbor Freight. Utter waste of money, but it was only $3, so it's not like that was a big deal. Then I bought this sharpening system, which is the 4-sided Harbor Freight diamond sharpening system. And as you see, it's got 200, 300, 400, and 600 grit. Now with this, and I bought at the same time my first hand plane, a Harbor Freight Special, which was only $15, and it also came with this block plane. Now with this cheapo Harbor Freight sharpening system here, that cost me $10, I was able to actually get my chisels and planes semi-sharp, where I could actually use them, but it was a lot of work. Then I also bought at the same time these 2 wheels to put on the drill that came with the medium grit wax honing paste, or whatever, honing wax, and then a fine grit wax that came with that. And I also bought at the same time, this is obviously a square, but it was a 3-piece multifunction. These pieces all come out there off on there, but they're very hard to change out and then line up and put back on. So I have the protractor, which I haven't used, so I'm not sure how accurate it is. And then I also have the 45-degree gauge that goes on. And I have the brass nuts in this little can with the springs, so I don't lose them, so I'm able to put them back on. Okay, let's see what else. Bought this coping saw for, the protractor set was about $9-10 at Harbor Freight. And I bought this coping saw for $7.99 and a 4-blade replacement pack. I broke one blade right off the bat, and the problem is this end of the coping knife doesn't really want to turn, so you can't really make the curve cuts that you're supposed to be able to. When you try to turn it, you end up twisting the blade instead of actually turning the blade. So at the same time, I also bought this nice little hammer. Now this actually was a good buy. It worked quite well, and it was $19.99, I believe. And let's see. And then later on, I bought this first. I bought this hand rasp slash planer that I was going to use, and I failed to realize that it was a flat bottom when I bought it, that it wasn't curved, and I wasn't actually going to be able to use it to do any curves, and that's why I bought it for. But it was only $7 or $8. Then I bought this second file set that has the triangle metal file, and then it has the flat side and the half round wood file. It has the flat side heavy grit and half round heavy grit rasp file. Now these are the only, they came, this file came by itself, had its handle. Then I bought the first two files I showed you, and then this metal file. This here is a flat-sided wood file, another flat-sided wood file, flat side heavy grit on one side and medium grit on the other side, and then when you flip it over, it's a half round heavy grit and lighter grit rasp, which doesn't take a handle. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 files here. I have the two triangle files that are made for metal, but the whole set only came with 2 handles, and they're very hard to take off once you put them on. And I got 2 rat tail rasps. This one's a heavy grit, and then this one is a very much more lighter grit. And this is a pocket knife that I use for making knife wells. This is a knife that was left to me by my father when he was passed. And my Allen's wrench set that came from my father. And the first drill bit that I bought that cost a couple of dollars at Ace Hardware. And a hammerless nail set that I already had. And then these are the jaws that I took off of my little bitty 4-inch vise that only opens up about 5.5 inches, which I bought at Harbor Freight for $30, which it kind of works, but I can see I'm going to have to upgrade that immediately. And I bought this nice marking gauge from Harbor Freight. It was about $10. It's actually pretty decent. It has the 1 point on one side, the brass screw to slide it up and down, and then it has the 2 points that are adjustable, so you can make mortise lines. And I got obviously carpenter's pencil and regular pencil for all that. Then I bought the folding bevel, which it's kind of been helpful. I haven't been able to do a lot of work because by the time I get off of my real job, only about an hour and a half of daylight left, so I only get to work on the weekend. And I bought a nice wood screw set, self-tapping wood screws that have 5 different styles, which you see right there on the picture. And it's a pretty good set. I mean, it's only 10 bucks at Harbor Freight. This Stanley toolbox is a toolbox I bought for my regular job. I'm a painter by trade. Then I ordered this saw off of Amazon. It's a Gyuchi Co, I think, Ryobi pull saw, and I got it for ripping 6-inch wide boards, not knowing that this was only a 7-inch long blade, so not much ripping going on, but it is a good crosscut saw, and it cuts dovetails quite nicely. Now, one thing I'm in bad need of, I also bought this right off the bat when I was buying all this other little stuff from Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight clamp. It's about 2 foot long, and it was only like $4, so you can't really beat that. Now, this I just got from Amazon in the mail. I was so happy to get this, and it's a 8,000 grit sandy whetstone, and I also bought the sharpening jig, which worked great for my plane blades, but the inside, the smaller jaws right here where it holds your chisels, they were rounded and they never held the chisel solidly. So I took my little triangle files to it, and I did quite a bit of filing on each side to take the roundness out of it. That way it would hold this files more squarely, and it's holding them great now. And this flattening stone, amazing enough, the white side of the stone doesn't wear fast, but the 3000 side grit, about every sharpening after you're done, you need to spend about 2 minutes with this stone and bringing it back to flat. So, and I paid $30 I think for this stone, and $12 for the sharpening guide, so can't really beat that. Now, this is a sorry situation. I have a tabletop made out of probably hardboard, but it does have a plastic laminate on the top and bottom and all the way around to keep it out of the weather, which is great since it's covered in snow right now. And here's the Harbor Freight vise I was talking about. The one good thing about it is that it has these little locks, and you can spin it around to where you need to use it. And this is going to be the rest of my little work area once I clean the back porch off. And I'm going to enclose the sides to keep the rain out, and I'll probably put drops in the front so to keep the rain out. Because I also, the very first thing, the second thing, well, now this was actually the second tool I bought, which is a Ryobi 8-inch miter box. It doesn't cut compound cuts, it just cuts the 45 degrees and so on. And the second day I had it, I let my cousin borrow it, and 10 minutes later she had the blade buried into the housing, so I had to remove all the safeties to get it to work again. I forgot to show you, this was the first board I bought for woodworking, which you see it's not been used. It was pine or Douglas fir, I can't remember which. But what I did, I noticed it was straight, no cupping, no bow. But I failed to realize that it was loaded with knots, so I never used it. And this right here I just bought yesterday. It was a 12-foot board, 1 inch thick by about 7 inches wide. Turned out to be about 8 board feet of select cherry, which is very nice wood. It's got like one knot, and I had it cut down to 6-foot pieces so I could get it in the car. And this is what I'm going to start my next project on, and I'm looking quite forward to that. So that's all I've got for now, and I will try to post videos when I can.